yeah, we were there today at the event. We support the initiative. We support phase two of the partnership. But we hope the partnership of phase two will be driven by what the president said during his State of the Nation address, or opening of parliament rather, when he said one of the pillars for the administration is inclusive growth. And the emphasis is on the inclusiveness. Because phase one was very exclusionary by nature. I'm sure if you were there today, you'd have seen black business was not represented. Black women-owned businesses were not represented. Youth-owned businesses were not represented. Yeah. Businesses owned by people with disabilities were not represented. Yeah. And even the presentation itself, you can see, is from big business. So if phase two is going to be like phase one, they rather not call it a business partnership with government, but call it big business partnership with government. Yeah. So that we can also have
another grand coalition, if you like, with big business. What did phase one tackle? I mean, so far we know top end is that it dealt very well with energy, right? It reduced load shedding, even though others can say, yes, there's still energy reduction. And there is still a huge shortfall as far as the transmission grid is concerned and what needs to be expanded there. But it seems, as you put it yourself, phase one seems to have benefited big business in some way. So what actually was tackled there that would have benefited big business more than women in the sector, more than black or previously disadvantaged in the sector?
Yeah. So if you look at the energy part, then it's not necessarily true that the initiative dealt with the load shedding. The load shedding was dealt with by ESCOM. And then that's what we raised initially at the beginning, that without resolving the issues at ESCOM, you'll never deal with load shedding in the short term. Hence, we were very, very, very insistent that the director must go, because the director was very incompetent and is the one who was causing us load shedding. Because ESCOM is not enough electricity to supply South Africa. And it has been shown and proven by the new black leadership of ESCOM that has done extremely well. Well-qualified and experienced engineers who at ESCOM who did very well. So those are the people who must get who must get all the accolades for stopping load shedding. The load shedding was not stopped by a political decision, but an engineering solution. So that's one. But there have been other initiatives to deal with transport and logistics that has not yet resulted in many wins. There's one that is dealing with the crime and corruption that is mainly focusing on supporting law enforcement agencies, but also supporting South Africa from getting out of the grey listing. And work is going ahead there. So there is a lot of work that has been done, but our issue is that black business, women-owned business, small businesses are basically invited, they say, by the way. And there's no way we can be invited, they say, by the way, in our own country. We're the majority in South Africa, we don't have many passports. We want to see the country working, but we can't be like a appendage to solutions. We really can't, because it has been proven all over the world that if you want to deal with unemployment, if you want to deal with economic growth, if you want to have that 3.3%, you cannot do it without small businesses. Otherwise, all these things are just going to be grand plans, theoretical plans that are not going anywhere. So hence we are saying, and I spoke to the president when the president was there, and we're going to meet with him to raise this matter again, because we met in December last year and told him that we want to be a part of the solution. We've got our own solutions and proposals, but you can't be by the way, in our own country where black people form 93% of the population. That can't be.
Yeah. So you mentioned some of the challenges still, especially in the transport and logistics space. Are we moving forward, or are we still tapping or tap dancing, if you like, around the same issues in terms of access to rail network, private-public partnerships or concessions and so on and so forth? Are we still around those issues? What are the big issues that we are dealing with as far as the access to the rail network is concerned?
Yeah, I think the issue of the big issue was the issue of efficiency and also increasing the capacity of the network so that it can move more tonnages than it did before. And then I think that work is continuing with Transnet and other related parties, including government. But the reason why we're always saying there's a need to be inclusive is that even in that process, there's no emphasis on increasing access by small players and new entrants and black businesses into the rail system. Is that a generic ambition of saying we need to increase by this, but it's only going to be the very same players who have been benefiting even during apartheid who are going to be benefiting moving forward. Hence, we are saying we need to be included. So our call, people call it a complaint, is similar to what the president has been saying in the United Nations. You must have heard him. He was saying the African countries wants veto right in the United Nations because they don't want to be included as a by the way. So it's the same battle that we're raising and fighting, that you can't in a country where the majority we keep on being excluded forever.
So are you saying to us, for example, in the measurables that were articulated in phase one, you had no contribution at all as black business?
Yeah, we haven't, because we tried to get involved, but we excluded deliberately from even being involved. Remember how this work? We've got the working groups or work streams, and those work streams, so we've got 3 work streams. The one that deals with energy, transport, logistics, the one with crime and corruption. But underneath that, and that's where the work is being done. That's where you get the subgroups. And what has been happening, they've involved like consulting companies and Kganki and Bain and company, even basically deliberately ignoring the fact that McKinsey has been found wanting at SARS, has been found wanting at ESCOM, but they continue to give it work besides all the corruption that is hanging around its head. So that's where we've been prevented from participating. And hence we're saying phase 2 rather be a better a model where all of us who want to make contribution, who are South Africans, who want to see South Africa growing, who want to see unemployment being reduced, who want to see inequality being reduced, are allowed to fully participate. And not as an extra, but as a full participant.
So, I mean, what are your suggestions in terms of how operationally this can be improved? Because we're told that there are periodic meetings that are set with the president. You all get into the room. You all have access to the president. You can all make suggestions to the president. That's what we are led to believe.
No, that's not true. Remember, the meeting with the president is for reporting purposes. The work is not done there. Like today's meeting was a reporting meeting. It's not where the work gets done. The work gets done in the committees themselves. And if you are not participating in the committees, whether you attend the meeting with the president is neither here nor there, because that's not the work where work is done. So your contribution cannot even be considered if you're making it when the president is there. You need to make your contribution where the real work happens, where proposals are made, solutions are devised, and that's where we've been excluded.
Yeah, it seems those committees then are set up in in the hierarchy of how deep your pockets are, that your voice becomes the loudest. I don't know. It's not like in committees of parliament where majority rules.
Yeah, I think that plays a role, but then it means it's an apartheid type of committees where those who benefited during apartheid continue to benefit because they are the ones who got money. But they they're based for even people who don't have money, because you can contribute your ideas and can contribute your capacity, your skills, and yeah, and as black business, we're not saying we're not going to contribute money or we're not going to contribute the skills. The issue is that we're not even allowed to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
So you can't even test whether we do have the capacity or we've got the money. Because that can only be tested once you are inside.
I see. Now, if we are to expedite these reforms in the context of inclusive growth, as the president articulates it in his state, in his opening address, the opening of Parliament address, how would you see this being expedited?
Yeah, I think for us is that there's what is called like a real economy. That's where the majority are, small business is. And there's a sophisticated economy that basically depends on the stock exchange shares, prices, and others. We have to concentrate on both. You can't only concentrate on the sophisticated economy because it's not going to solve your unemployment. And then that is very clearly indicated in the National Development Plan, which is supposed to be the economic policy of South Africa until 2030. And then the National Development Plan was very, very clear that if you want to grow the economy, you need to focus on small business. They even put the target there of the jobs that should be created is 11 million jobs, and they said 90% of those jobs are supposed to come from small business by 2030. So that is what is supposed to be the Bible of South Africa. Anything else that gets done is supposed to be done, being guided by the National Development Plan 2030.
So if you were to have your way, I mean, one of the areas, for example, which I've had a conversation with you about, one was the procurement bill, but two, the funding of SMEs. So you would want to see a prioritization of the South African SME fund.
Yes, and we've made our own contributions in other structures. We had spoken to the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition. We've spoken to the Minister of Small Business. We've spoken to the President. The biggest challenge, basically, we've got those two challenges, but the biggest challenge is access to funding, because if you want to buy any business now as a black person, they want own contribution. And it's probably 20%, 10%, and all those things. So we were advocating for the formation of a fund that is similar to Solidarity Funds, that will be able to help black people with own contribution. You can speak to anyone from any financial institution, the banks or the DFIs like IDC and PIC. They always tell you need to have own contribution. If you don't have that, it means the haves will forever have, because they are the ones who then get called to say, there's this transaction, are you interested? And because they've got their own balance sheet, they can be able to participate in the economy. And then if you continue like that, you're going to forever exclude the majority of the population, and forever promote the 7% of the population to carry them the 100%, which is not sustainable on its own. It's a risk to democracy to have 92% of the population depending on 7% of the population. It's not sustainable.
And if we are to do that, I mean, I suppose a posture that says, let's focus and prioritize increased foreign investment and positive sentiment is not a posture that particularly will be favorable to you, because as you are raising complaints right now, they're going to say, no, but black business can't keep complaining. You are demoralizing the country with your complaining all the time. you know, and these are things that are chasing away foreign investment in the country that you're calling for.
No. Even the foreign investment, when it comes here, it needs to understand that we have people who were excluded from participating in the economy by apartheid, by law. So when you come to South Africa, you need to understand that there are conditions, and it happens all over the world. If you go to China, there are conditions for investment. You can't just go to China and then own 100% of the business, because they know you have to empower the indigenous Chinese, and it happens all over the world. So it's not it's not like a something that is foreign. So those foreign investors, if they come to South Africa knowing very well that they need to partner with the local indigenous people, things will work very, very, very well. But if they come and come to basically loot our resources without involving the locals, then that's where we are going to have challenges. Yeah. So we're not necessarily in any way saying foreign investment must not come into South Africa. That's not what we're saying. We're saying let's focus on the majority, empower the majority, make sure that they own part of the economy and they are full participants in the economy of their own country. This is our own country. We are not going anywhere. We're going to be here. Our kids are going to be here. And let's all participate. And when we live in harmony.
Kganki Matabane, appreciate your time. CEO of the Black Business Council, there with us on his views following the launch of the second phase of the transformative government business partnership with a focus, of course, on inclusive growth. Let's take a break.